Shalom. I want to start this off by giving all the praise and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Yahweh Kakwadash. Double honor salutations, peace and blessings to the elect men of Israel, starting with the other apostles and the bishops of the Great Millstone Church, on down to the rest of you brothers and the brothers that I labor with, who all push forth the will and doctrine of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, in all faith, the truth, and sincerity, according to the true understanding of the scriptures. To all of you, I say shalom. It's just a quick lesson, and it was just something that I was meditating on earlier, and really it was a meditation through just me like passing through a certain area where basically one of the big major companies out here, they got their own little, if you will, like they got money and means to just create, and build just about anything. And in this world, I should say. And they've got, how would I say? Basically, they got their own, they got their own town, simply put. But it's funny because driving through it just reminded me of, for those of you that may know, those that have played games, and things like that. And like the original Black Ops, can't say it's the same, after that, but nonetheless, the like original Call of Duty Black Ops game, there was a map that you could play on. It was called Nuketown, and that's really like what I call it in my mind. You know what I'm saying? Because that joint gonna be completely like eradicated when the Lord come back. But nonetheless, driving through it, and them having like people from all across the world, coming for like a week or something, and mugs, just you seeing mugs, just so-called living it up, mugs riding bikes and running, and they got this coffee shop here and this, restaurant here and this clothing store here, you know what I'm saying? You seeing a slew of different Jakes, you know what I'm saying, lost in the sauce, and Esau just, in their heaven, you know what I'm saying, living it up in their lasciviousness and, things as such. But looking at it, and looking at how, how everybody's, paying attention to everybody's dealings, you seeing like the spirit that people are in, you can completely see like mentally they not there, mentally they destroyed. And it kind of brought me back to a sentiment that was brought out this past Wednesday, midweek camp, which is like you can see like people are literally in a delusion. People are ignorant, they don't have the spirit of the Lord within them. You can see it within how they talk, how they act, what they wear, what they dress, things like that. Right, us having the spirit of the Lord, we're able to see these things and understand these things. But more specifically, what had came to mind, seeing all this, and this is what brings me to this verse in Ecclesiastes 7:7, was Esau uses all these things, like this company has the resources to be able to just make all this shit, right? And they make all this shit, and they give these people access to these things to where they thinking like, oh, shit's so great. And this is what it made me think of, Ecclesiastes 7:7, which is surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. It's lucky. And excuse me. And this the means and resources that this place has to offer, you know, it can be something that Slakia, to better say that correctly, it has and it does, in regards to being something continuous, destroys um the mind, because that's what this word heart goes into. That word heart is a lob, you know, which goes into your mind, your inner man, right? And it really destroys people's minds, right? And more specifically, our people, you know. Again, it's been like a very like recent sentiment, through the spirit, where I've been speaking on it a lot lately. Jake being in the spirit of like having Stockholm syndrome to the oppressor, right? Because our oppressor took away everything from us to where we didn't have shit, and because we went so long not having shit, when they gave us something, it was bullshit to them, or it wasn't really nothing important. It was just actual shit, like it was dung basically. So then now you see Jake cleaving onto some bullshit that ain't even nothing. But because they've been so destroyed mentally, spiritually, they thinking it to be something when it's nothing. And you can see it within. You can see it within their countenance. You can see it within, you know, with how they hold themselves. Their stature and things like that. So I wanted to get a few scriptures just going into that, because it's key to pay attention to the things you take, the things you receive. Just like anything and everything, right? Everything come with a certain spirit, and anything and everything has a means of affecting you and your spirit. You know, that's why we don't give ourselves to much wine. Being the spiritual wine, right? A different ideology, or a different doctrine. A different way of living, a different principle. Our people have fallen away from the Lord, right? And our culture, our heritage, um, being our true identity, our true ideology, our true doctrine, you know. And because of us falling away from that, right, our people have been destroyed mentally and spiritually. So now anything that's given to them, they allow it to have some kind of effect over them, because they don't know who they really are. They don't know what the standard is. They don't know who Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is. But those of you that do, those that are learning, right, those that are in position to learn and know, right, Yahweh being the Most High God, and Yahweh Shai being the one who the world only calls Jesus Christ, right? Those, they are those are the true names of those, what's the word I'm looking for? Entities. You know, the world ignorantly calls God God, or Yahweh, or Jehovah, right? When really it's Yahweh, and in likeness to His only begotten Son, right, who is the Messiah, right? The world ignorantly calls Him Jesus Christ, and that's a made up name, made up word, you know. Really, it's Yahweh Shai, you know. And they have a specific standard that they uphold, right? And they're only looking to be for one specific people, looking to save one specific people, which is the Israelites, right? Who the world ignorantly knows as so-called blacks, Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Those are the people that make up the true biblical identity of the Hebrew Israelites. That is their true lineage. And that's their true identity, simply put, right? But not to get too far away from the point, I just make that statement so that way you understand, what it is that is true and what it is that our people have fallen away from, you know, right? Because this being the truth, right, that comes with certain knowledge, right, and that knowledge being, right, this world is not set up for us, right? This world is set up against us, because we turned away from the Lord, and because of that, we have to, because of that, and because we've been put in captivity to our oppressors, and we're still currently in captivity to our oppressors, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that we just have to allow them to have their way with us, you know. So um, we, as the scriptures say, we use the world, but we don't abuse it, right? Um, and though we're in the world, we're looking to keep ourselves from the evil of it, just as Yahweh Shai said. I pray not to take them out of the world, but to keep them from the evil, right? And the evil is, these things that can take you away from knowing who it is that you truly are, knowing what your purpose is, right? And ultimately knowing that you are meant to be held to a specific standard. You're supposed to be set apart, right? You're not supposed to be moving and operating like the rest of these people upon the face of the earth. You're supposed to be moving and operating in a way that shews forth the power of the Lord, of the Most High, of our Lord, right? And those two being again Yahweh Bahashem in the name Yahweh Shai, right? That's how you say it in the Hebrew, the ancient Hebrew, right? Because they were the Lord's holy language is Hebrew, right? And Yahweh Shai, he was a Hebrew, you know, came from the tribe of Israel, right? Or Salakia came from the lineage of Israel, but came from the tribe of Judah, you know. So we have to be careful what we indulge in, simply, you know. Not to make this too long-winded to get, away from the point. We have to make sure we are cautious to what we indulge in, how we indulge in it, and the purpose, the perspective, the intent, you know what I'm saying, of how we deal with things. Because everything comes with a certain spirit, Like what you eat can put a certain spirit on you, right? What you drink could put a certain spirit on you, can affect you and your spirit in a certain way. These are the things that Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, right, i.e. also the wicked, understands, and that's why they alter the food that we that's out here. They alter the medicine that's out here. They alter really everything that's out here. They pollute everything that's out here to try to keep us in a low frequency, a low frequency, to the point to where all these negative and wicked evil spirits can have their way with our people. But you turn back to the Lord, you put a certain hedge upon yourself so you don't allow these things to get to you. So Salaki, let me get some more scriptures, not to be too long-winded in regards to speaking, right? Gonna let the Lord's word speak. So this is Sirach 5 and verse 8, right? It says, set not thy heart upon goods unjustly gotten. You see? And those goods is likened unto, again, that gift, right? Because I got the word gift right here, right? And it says what? A gift is a noun. It says something that is bestowed voluntarily and without compensation, the act of giving, right? Let me see if they got more here. To present something as a gift to. Let me see what else they got. I want to see if they got any synonyms. Okay. Present, right? Okay. Says a present offering. Let me see if we can get more. Let's try. Let's try this right here. Let's see if they got it. That's funny because the word I was looking for was goods. You know, and you got goody, which is in likeness. You know, um, but nonetheless, you know, for those of you that's able to see, you know, it's basically what it's referring to, right? Because think about it, you know, to be given, you know, something like a present or reward, you know, things like that, right? Those are things that are considered goods, you know. Like you look at all of the gifts that were given to King Solomon, you know what I'm saying? Those were all things that were goods, you know, being given to all these different spices and herbs and things like that from, you know, it's like those are all things, you know, that's considered goods, you know. So going back, right, it says, set not that heart upon goods unjustly gotten, right? And that could also be, in regards to this unjustly gotten, is the means of how it was gotten before is looked to be given to you, you know. Like I seen a video on this, you know, like this day and age where mothers be trying to do, you know, pranks and shit on people, right? This is this dude, he had somebody take some AirPods out of you know, the display case, you know what I'm saying? Because he was looking to go buy them, basically, right? He was at a store like Target or Walmart or whatever. And then what he does is after he has, you know, somebody working there take him out, give it to him, right? He starts walking towards the front, and instead of going to ring it up, he basically acts like he's going to interview like a random person. You know, basically like, oh, if you answer this question right, you know, you get a gift. He asked something, you know, and the lady answered the question like completely wrong, but he was like, oh, congratulations, you get a pair of free AirPods, you know. And the lady, she's like, oh my God, thank you so much. And then she ended up walking out, and as she walks out, then the alarm goes off, and now she, you know, they got you know, mugs are coming up, you know what I'm saying, grabbing her, you know, basically like telling her to walk off somewhere, you know. Shit was crazy. But it's that's just like, you know, one example that comes to mind in regards to like paying attention to how something was gotten, you know. But that's just, you know, the first thing that comes to mind. But you look at, you know, real life scenarios or situations, you know. Um, you looking at means of receiving money, you know. Is it blood money, right? Is it drug money, things like that, right? Are you you looking to get money to be able to, you know, have your daily bread, but you You looking to get it through. You sell. You just distribute and selling certain things, right? You look at the definition for witchcraft in like Galatians 5 and was it 19 or 20, right? Where it talks about the distributing of farm pharmakia or witchcraft, being drugs, right? That's something that's unjustly gotten, you know. But it could be a slew of different things, right? Nonetheless, it's all about where it's coming from, why it's being given, you know. Like you gotta be careful with taking food from people, like you watch videos of how people operate within their homes and how dirty they are. You know what I'm saying? That's why you hear like the old Jake saying like, sometimes you just don't eat at other people's houses, because you don't know what they did or how they prep the food. Mugs just be ignorant, looking to try to get somebody to try something or have something without even being considerate or cautious of, um, a person's preferences and things like that. You know, they make some food that they think is good, and they made some meat or something that was expired, but they cooked it nonetheless. You know what I'm saying? They like, it's good, right? They eating the shit and they, bring it with them, and now they be like, hey, you want to try some of this? You have no clue how they made this shit. What's within it, how they made it. You know what I'm saying? They make it on something or that's been used to make pork. Things like that, right? Nonetheless, I ain't trying to be like too long with it, but just real life examples. You know, things that people can relate to, because these are the things that you got to consider. And you consider things like this being of a prudent mind. You know, but nonetheless, right? You just look at simply receiving goods, right? Like money, like a car, like a certain job, or things like that. You receiving those things, though they've been established and set up unjustly. You look at a job where most is selling pharmaceuticals. You looking at a job that's it's some shit that's not like what's the word I'm looking for? Something that's not essential. Why do I push me outside? Something that's not essential. Like must be cutting hair and lining the hell up of Jacob and all these different people. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. Like, yeah, that may be something that get money now. But like as it says, right, for they shall not profit thee in the day of calamity. If these are things that's not set up in a way that is approved by the Lord, right? If these are things that go against the Lord. These are things that the Lord doesn't deem to be right. You know what I'm saying? Like mugs get bread like how Esau do. You know what I'm saying? Off the demise of our people. That shit not gonna, help you. It's for damn sure not gonna help you in the day of calamity. You know? When shit's hitting the fan and all hell breaking loose, it's just not gonna help you. So it's something to keep in mind, right? So let me go to grab another one. It's like I've been meaning to try to do some quick lessons, but the spirit been on me lately for whatever reason to go into these a little bit longer in depth lessons. But for those of you that sincere listeners, those of you that are looking to learn and sub through the spirit, if you will, it's gonna be for you, right? Those that just looking to listen to something knowledgeable, edifying, through the spirit in the midst of your daily walk. This should be something that's for you. But this is Sirach 13, in verse where I want to start at 25, right? It says, "The heart of man changeth his countenance." You see, and the heart is being the mind. So where man's mind is at is going to change his countenance, his appearance, right? It says, "Whether it be for good or evil, and a merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance." You know, and this is a good scripture because this is one that helps you to kind of understand um basically like how to pay attention to the spirit that be on somebody, you know, based off of body language, right? Their facial expressions, how how you can tell uh people got like a dark spirit, dark countenance. You see, their eyes look real dark. They got like crazy bags under their eyes. You know what I'm saying? In a certain way, right? Um, you can see, you know, like people's bodies basically looking lifeless. Like there ain't no vibrance. You know what I'm saying? Within their skin, within their body, and things like that. You can see when somebody's got the spirit of light on them versus somebody that don't. For those of you that's more experienced in the spirit, but um, it says verse 26. It says, "A cheerful countenance is a token of a heart that is in prosperity." You see, so it's like a symbol, if you will, right? Um, It says, and the finding out of parables is a wearisome labor of the mind, right? And this take me back to that surely oppression maketh the wise man mad, right? Like we understand ain't nothing really free, right? We understand because this world is given to the hands of the wicked, and how they have a slew of different tools and instruments that they use to try to kill us and destroy us. And it doesn't have to be the physical sword, but it could be their words, it could be their gifts, it could be you know different laws and things that they set up, and how they use their words, how they use different tools and different gifts to give to people. Like we understand that shit's not free. There's a catch-22. They might be nice in your face, but there's it's a backhanded deal, or they got a knife that they got ready to stab you in the back with. You know, when we understand, right, this place is not our rest, right? It's polluted, and this place is again is set up by your enemies to where they constantly on a daily basis are looking to basically have your life, right? Understanding the things that our people have gone through, on a secular, non-secular, standpoint, right? Things that you see written within the scriptures, and things that you see, written outside of it, but still, history that aligns nonetheless. You know, like you learning these things, or you learning what the Lord speaks of within His Word. It could be wearisome. You know, because learning the parables takes having the Lord's wisdom, right? Which allows you to be in a position of being wise, you know. And this wearisome leads to basically like the state of being mad, where you hating your life, and as we are to, right? But it's to be in a balanced state, right? But you're not letting the things that we know, we understand that's meant to happen affect us. You know what I'm saying? Paul said it. I forget how he said it specifically, but basically, uh, or wishing, you know what I'm saying, that his life here would be over. You know, I think it was the scripture being betwixt the two, torn betwixt the two, something like that. But that's what I'm referring to. You could drop it, Bob could shot, but nonetheless, um, like knowing that this world is wicked and it's against you, is tiresome knowing that, always having to deal with that, right? But again, we endure all things for the elect's sake, right? Through much tribulation, right? So we understand that having this wisdom isn't for the weak, you know, but it allows us to be able to stay prudent, stay vigilant, right, and ultimately endure unto the end. Allows you to be able to have the prudence needed to make sure that you're not taking upon yourself something that could destroy you, right? It's like how the scriptures say in Sirach 30:37, right? Prove all things, see what's evil for it, prove, what is it? No, it's like not prove all things, but prove, shit, I just get it, right? Don't even want to butcher it. 37 and 27, I believe it is. Yeah. It says, okay. It says, my son, prove thy soul in thy life to see what is evil for it and give not that unto it. Right? Why is that? It says, for all things are not profitable for all men, neither have every soul pleasure in everything. So we are cautious, right? On the things that we indulge in and the things that we refrain from, because we've taken the time to learn and understand, okay, this is what's good for me, this is what isn't good for me. Yeah, this might be something that could be useful, but what is my intentions of using this? If I take this, could this take me away from my my focus? A lot of times in moments when you about to hit a new level in the spirit, say try to bring you something that's meant to be a distraction, and the way that he may present it like it's a gift, you know and that's something that's important to pay attention to, right? Knowing, like, though, and like how the scriptures say, all things are lawful but all things are not expedient, right? And though it may be something that's lawful and okay to deal with, it may not be okay for you to deal with, because you were dealing with it could have you fall basically into subjection to it. You allowing this to have control over you. It's like people with their vices. You know, being the the things they can't really fight the urge of. But the way that we do that is through discipline. Building self control and restraint. Refraining from indulging in things, right? Fasting, praying. You cutting off feeding the flesh, so you just completely dealing with the spirit. Things and moments like that. That's the beauty of having the Lord's wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Having His Spirit working with you, having wisdom working with you. Allowing you to truly take the time to consider and analyze. That's why you gotta be careful with the things that you do and how you do it, and what you take upon yourself, right? So I got a couple more, and that'll pretty much be it. But like I said, we want this to make sense, for those of you watching. So this is Sirach 19 and verse 29. It says, "A man may be known by his look, and one that hath understanding by his countenance when thou meetest him." You see? And like how I seen earlier today, right? Paying attention to all these people and how they, moving. Most of them was a lot of heathens, but surprisingly a lot of Jakes too. Nah, I can't even say it's surprising, but definitely a lot of Jakes. And it makes sense because seeing these Jakes, they completely lost, they completely gone, And it says, "A man's attire, the excessive laughter, the gait, shew what he is." You can see Jake trying to fit this narrative, this image of what Esau to be, what Esau esteems to be, what's the word, looking sharp and looking professional, and, all this extra shit. Like wearing a suit and tie ain't Jake's attire. It's not Israel's attire. That's Esau Edom's attire, or so-called white man's attire. But everybody tries to fit and conform into this narrative, or they so-called business casual, where they, it's like you seeing the shit that amongst that's golfing wear, basically. That's the shit that Jake get to doing. But they like fully engulf themselves in that, to where then they trying to put this on as if it's their identity. You know what I'm saying? Because they ain't to say that, like, it's wrong to wear those things. You know what I'm saying? But again, it's how you doing it. Your mind, your intentions, your purpose for doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm throwing something on like that, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing it like um I'm doing it uh like Jacob, look at the supplant. That's how I'm moving with it. I'm not looking to put this on and put me in a certain spirit where I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is nice. This is what life it really is about. And I think I really want to invest myself and being like this and dressing like that, and setting up the 401k and all this. You know what I'm saying? Like, where you looking to set up the 10-year plan, because you thinking this place is gonna go on forever, like how Esau Edom do. Nah, we know this place is ready to be destroyed and it's on its way out. We can't neglect those things, because those are very important things. Now, the other one I had is also in the same chapter of that 37 I read before. This is Sirach 37 of verse 17. It says, "The countenance is a sign of changing of the heart." You see, which is heavy, right? You could tell a woman got demons on her when you seen her at one moment, having hair, long hair, and wearing a dress, to the next moment her shaving her head, trying to rock a short ball cut like Amber Rose, or trying to rock the pixie cut or something like that. You see, brides, they cut their hair short, or they trying to dress like a man in a masculine spirit. You can see that spirit on them. You know what I'm saying? You can see so it's important to know, these are specific signs to pay attention to. You know what I'm saying? You still always gauge their spirit, you know, but these are things that can relay what kind of spirit they in or may have on them, you know. And again, that's like tying it back to the one of the initial points I was making. You know what I'm saying, which is being cautious to what you indulge in, and how you do it, because everything has a certain spirit that it come with. So is it something that's good or evil? You know, is it gonna take you away from, you know what I'm saying, the spirit and the mental state that you're supposed to be in or not? You know? That's key. Right? So I'm gonna end it here. This is Sirach 5 and verse 15. It says, "Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or small." You know? Because somebody might give you something small and you think, oh, because it's something small, it ain't nothing to worry about, right? But that could be the catalyst that puts you in position to start undermining a whole bunch of things, you know? Um, and this is one scripture that comes to mind in regards to that. Like if you neglecting taking the time to um discern something, you know, whether it be uh great or small, right? This is Sirach 19 and verse 1. It says, "A laboring man that is given to drunkenness shall not be rich." And it's the point. "And he that contemneth small things shall fall by little and little." You know? So if you neglecting and not paying attention and you not considering or looking to discern something, you know what I'm saying? Just because it be something small, you may think it's something that could be trivial, you know, obviously case by case, but um as more so again paying attention to who it's coming from, right? Their intentions, the purpose, and this is something that you really need, you know. Like we already know there's certain things that we are to be, you know, content with. So taking on extra, you know what I'm saying, in a certain time, in a certain season, in a certain place of where you at, you know, those are the things to pay attention to in regards to whether or not there's something you should be taking or not. You know? If you already got things on your plate that the Lord is looking for you to finish, you know what I'm saying, and somebody not trying to bring you some extra dessert to go on top of the shit, right? It's like the Lord give you a plate filled with things that's actually meant to nourish your body. You know what I'm saying? But somebody else come like say come bring you a piece of pie. You know what I'm saying? And instead of finishing the things that's meant to nourish you, you eat the shit. You eat the piece of pie instead. You know what I'm saying? And now you full off the piece of pie. Think think what's really gonna nourish you more. You know what I'm saying? A piece of steak or a salad or you know whatever the case may be versus you know what I'm saying apple pie, right? Think of something that's got fiber and protein in it versus something that's just carbs and empty calories. You know which one really gonna have better effects on you. You know what I'm saying? And lower one that's making sense. So that's pretty much it. This joint went longer than expected, but nonetheless, the point's there, right? You gotta be very cautious of taking a gift. You know how it's coming, how it's being presented. Can't be caught out here just being ignorant, right? And I think the last one I'll get is that in Proverbs. What is that? 15 and 14. 14 and 15. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Um, it says Proverbs 14 and 15. The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going. Right. The point there is that prudent man looketh well to his going. What is that? That's a moment of having discernment. Right. You looking to discern something, dissect something. Right. Let's real quick get that word discernment real quick. right? So this is discernment.
Discernment.
It says the act or process of exhibiting keen insight and good judgment. It says keenness of insight and judgment, the power or faculty of the mind by which it distinguishes one thing from another. It says the power of viewing differences in objects and their relation and tendencies, right? Penetrative and discriminate mental vision, acuteness, right? How do you say this word? Sad. I don't know. Let's see. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it, right? The condition of understanding, to perceive differences that exist, to distinguish between things. You know what I'm saying? And where you distinguishing again, whether something be good or evil for you, right? So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the point, you know. So I'm gonna pretty much leave it there, and I'll probably end it reading this again. Ecclesiastes 7:7. Surely oppression maketh the wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. You know, with great power comes great responsibility, and that power being wisdom. You know, heavy is the head that wear the crown, and you know a king he knoweth to see it all. You know, so it can be a lot to take on, but you know through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai, you know we gonna be able to bear it and deal with it. You know, because we're really using it to keep our lives, keep ourselves in position to be able to receive that salvation. So that's pretty much the point. Lord willing, has been edifying. And with that, I'm going to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Bahawah Kakwadash. Till next time, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom.